Divide and conquer. It's a military strategy as old as war and politics themselves. My name is Dr. Steven Gullan. Divide et imperia. Divide your enemies so that you can reign over them. Attributed to Julius Caesar some 2,200 years ago. And this is the real danger, horror, and tragedy of COVID-19. The division that it is causing between human beings. That everybody is divided and separated and isolated from every other person. That everybody is a possible threat, an enemy of a kind that one must be guarded against, that one must wear armor of a kind to keep safe from. Already, countries are divided within themselves. Here in South Africa, we're in a highly divisive society. And the politicians and many political parties both capitalize and take full advantage of those divisions. People are divided currently due to COVID-19 from their jobs. They're divided from their means of creating revenue and income for themselves. They're divided from their loved ones and their families and their support systems. They're divided from their forms of recreation, where they can recreate themselves and re-energize and sustain themselves. They're divided from their forms of exercise, the very place where they can boost their immune system and become healthier. They're divided from their religious and spiritual sanctuaries. I'm sitting here probably about 65 or 70 meters away from my neighbor, and we are divided. I'm divided from my brother. Countries are divided, provinces are divided, suburbs are divided. It's not possible to be more divided than each person isolated and separated from each other person. Physically at a distance. Behind a mask where you cannot recognize the facial human micro-expressions. Small expressions of warmth, of welcoming, of acknowledgement. This is what it is to be human. COVID-19 was pitched to us as a life-threatening, all-encompassing, earth-shattering, near-biblical proportion pandemic. And to date, just over 360,000 people have died. Terrible, tragic, each and every one of them, and more will die. And each and every one is absolutely tragic. However, these deaths have brought, this disease has brought our economy, our countries, and our civilization as we know it to its knees. And what is our civilization if not the bonds of cohesion that keep us together as human beings? I am warm, affectionate, compassionate, and kind to my family. And out of that, I extend it to strangers. And beyond that, I extend it to people who are not like me. And beyond that, I even extend it to people who perhaps don't like me or are antagonistic to me. And this is how society works. We extend this to our neighboring countries, and we extend it to countries that are opposed to us. This is what humanity is. We are herd animals, we are social animals. And this socialization, this cohesion is through these very acts of humanity, warmth, connection, affection, touch. Looking at one another, seeing a smile. And what's happening? I walk in a supermarket or a public place, any place I'm permitted to walk, and people are covered in masks and they walk around me. And I must walk around them by law. And everybody's a threat, everybody's a danger, everybody's an invisible enemy. An enemy of everybody. And it's not on the basis of what they believe or how they live or anything of that nature. It's unseeable, unknowable, unperceivable, and it has turned every living human being into an enemy, a threat, a life threat to every other human being. They could kill you. They could kill your children. It's even made a threat of me. I could, if I don't wear my mask and I'm not vigilant enough, I could actually kill somebody. I could be a murderer and I wouldn't even know. I could take it home and murder my parents. I could murder my grandparents. It has made an enemy of everyone. How much more can we be divided? Now, what is it to be human being? What is it to imagine the life of a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 3-year-old going to creche and not being able to run and hug their friend hello, to hug their teacher, their favorite teacher, to during break share a sandwich? This is where we learn it as children, and we take that forward into our lives. We don't just shake hands in the office because it's a formal construct. We do it because it's bonding and it's human. And this connection is the essence. It lies at the heart of what it is to be human. It's the recognition of I'm a human being and I recognize myself inside of you. We have a shared humanity. And it's this very shared humanity that stops human beings from ripping each other apart like a pack of wild animals hunting each other. And if that sounds a bit extreme or a bit far-fetched or a bit out there, or like, not me, one need only peruse the very well documented and thoroughly researched scientific literature on what happens to people when they are dehumanized. How people become when they're dehumanized, or in dehumanizing situations, or when other people are dehumanized around them. How good people do terrible things. And this is thoroughly researched and documented. The research is all in. This is not questionable. This is documented medically, psychiatrically, anthropologically, socially, historically. It's all out there. And what we face here with COVID-19 is not simply a disease. We face a threat to our very humanity. And what else is there? It's a very small step from there to Auschwitz, or to the Gulag archipelago, or to the Maoist re-education camps where we're responsible for 130 million terrible, tragic, horrific deaths. This is what happens when human beings are dehumanized in the eyes of one another. COVID-19 is far more profoundly affecting us than we acknowledge. And the long-term implications are far more profound than we are being made aware of. This is not up to the politicians. The politicians were the very people that were responsible for implementing the laws that have separated us and isolated us and divided us. This is not up to the authorities. The authorities are the very people who have put in place the structures that have divided us and separated us. I am not saying that it wasn't warrant, or that it isn't valid, or that it wasn't the good or the right thing to do. I'm not judging it here. This is not the platform for that. I'm not speaking about the disease. I'm not speaking about the virus or the global response. I'm speaking about the very imminent and permanent and future threat to our humanity, the loss of our humanity, of what it is to be a human being. And that this is far more profound than the loss of lives, as tragic and absolutely terrible as they are. And yes, as an intervention, isolation, separation, as an intervention to save lives, to prevent healthcare systems from collapsing, a necessary intervention. However, a non-sustainable solution. This is an unsustainable solution. Imagine a child brought up where it could not connect with other human beings, where it couldn't love, connect, touch, hug. They considered passing a law where I'm not allowed to kiss my child in public. I'm not allowed to walk arm in arm with my wife. Acts of public affection are a thing of the past. What is left of humanity if it's not giving my lover a cuddle, hugging my child, letting my niece or nephew run up and grab me around my waist and hug me hello, giving granny a hug? This is what human beings are. We only look at nature and we see monkeys and apes picking lice and things of the other animals and other monkeys. We see this as a social structure. This is necessary. This is a non-negotiable in our humanity. This is not something that we can afford to give up. This is not something that we can permit to simply fall apart. This is what it is to be human. And so, here is what I am saying. It's not up to politicians, authorities. It's not up to anybody else. It's not a group effort. It's an individual action. And it's an action that you have to start taking, and I have to start taking. It's an action we have to go out there and proactively and creatively find solutions to. When passing a stranger in a supermarket, or when passing a stranger in a public place where you're permitted to go, we have to find a way to bridge the space between us, the physical space. We have to reach past the mask to express our humanity to one another. We have to let each other know that we're here, I see you, I acknowledge you. This is what it is to be human. That when I see a person in the supermarket, it's me behind that mask. That I let them know, some way, I feel your pain. I too am in pain. I experience your frustration. I too am frustrated. I know your fears. I too am afraid. And I share your anger. I too am angry. We have to find a way to bridge this gap, to reach across the space between us and connect, to show compassion and kindness with the micro expressions of warmth and connection, to find a new way to get them past the fabric that covers our very faces and the distance between us. Find a way, my friends. We have to. Our very humanity depends on it. We need to be creative in our solutions, and it's not up to anybody else. It's always up to us, you and I. So the next time you're outside, recognize these are not enemies. These are not threats. These are people, loving, warm, kind, giving, mothers, fathers, children's, grandparents. Connect. We have to bridge this, or we stand to lose a lot more than our lives. We stand to lose our very humanity. This is not a time for divide and conquer. This is a time to stand together and overcome. If you have found any value in this talk, then like it by giving it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channels, or hit the reminder so you don't miss future talks. Do put your questions and your comments there and I will respond. Otherwise, friends, take care, be well, love one another, and stay safe.